Hi, this is Laura from LiveVisions.com, and this video is dedicated for Scorpio, everything Scorpio. Whether you have your Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, or Mars in Scorpio, this video is for you. Now, if you do not know where your planetary placements are, I do have a calculator on my website that you can use, but I admit it sometimes goes on the fritz, so I would go to astro.com and look at their birth chart calculator and figure out where your planetary placements are so you know what video to watch for what planet that you have, okay? All right, without further ado, and this is like my 5th time doing this video because it's Mercury retrograde and I kept having technical problems. So, fingers crossed. All right. Well, those of you guys with the Sun or Ascendant in Scorpio, first I will say, you know, people usually either love or hate you, and that is because you guys are one of the most intuitive signs in the zodiac. The sign of Scorpio is a water sign, and those waters run very deep. You are a fixed sign, so you can be rather stubborn. But what I'm getting at is some people feel a little bit, you know, Scorpio is a sign that is into the hidden realms of life. They love to investigate and research, and they will dig and dig and dig a lot of times until they find an answer to something that they're looking for. And this includes the hidden realms of life, such as psychic realm. You know, they like tarot and astrology, and they like to investigate that stuff. You know, ask any astrologer, tarot reader, or, you know, that's on YouTube, or even a psychic, and they'll say the most popular videos they have are Scorpio. Because Scorpios love metaphysics. And the reason is they have just this inner knowing about things, and they're not afraid of taboo subjects, you know, like such as astrology, psychic realm and tarot. They're not afraid of that stuff. And this can freak some people out because some people are like, oh man, I don't want to know that stuff, you know. And the reason I think they're in tune to it, their ruler is Pluto, and Pluto rules transformation, okay? So a lot of times Scorpio people tend to go through a lot of transformation in their life. And a lot of Scorpio that I have spoken to say, always around my birthday, it's a crazy time. And that's because you guys will probably go through more transformation in life than most. And some of it is good, and some of it people are like, I'd rather not have experienced that myself. But I will say that the sign of Scorpio itself can be very passionate, intense, and some people can't handle the intensity. That's another reason, okay? And Scorpio, and this goes for anybody who has planets in the 8th house too, especially the Sun or maybe Venus or anything, may resonate with what I'm telling you, okay? These people tend to be very passionate, very intense. The sign of Scorpio itself is very, they don't look at what's being seen, what's seen. They look at what's the undercurrents of things, so things that are not said, things that are beneath the surface, okay? So they're really intuitive that way, and they come into this world just of a knowingness. This is why especially Scorpio ascendants make great psychologists, okay? Because they're really good at reading at what's not being said, you know, not just what's said, but what's not being said. So these people are very good at when it comes to research or finding answers or investigative work and things like this. They're great at it. And I will say, you don't want to cheat on a Scorpio. Number one is because they'll never forgive you. And number two is because they will find out. You know, they're very highly intuitive type of people. So a lot of people, I want to say, either love you or hate you. And of those of you those people who don't like you, either one, have something to hide, or two, are a little freaked out by the interests that you have, which are maybe a little bit different than most, you know. So I would say, you know, and they could be a little freaked out by the intensity. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you're in a relationship with somebody, and they're like, oh, you know, everything was great. And then once we were intimate, things got really crazy and very intense. And some people can't handle your intensity. And it's okay, let them weed themselves out, because you need someone who's just as intense and as passionate as you are, okay, as a person. And this is important to you, especially those of you who have Mars or Venus, depending on you're a man or a woman, or your moon, you know, could be very passionate as well. So anyway, that's Scorpio in general. So in a nutshell, and the one thing you guys have to worry about is your shadow side. The shadow side of Scorpio can be very jealous, very possessive, very controlling, very manipulative, okay? So you need, and using the manipulative side is really a negative shadow side, because you guys really know things, and if you can use that to your advantage and manipulate. So you guys could be good at that. So you really need to watch this, okay? But for the most part, very passionate people who feel very deeply, and when they're wounded, the cut runs so deep, it's hard for these people to forgive or move on, you know? So, and a lot of times, if you're dating someone who is a Scorpio and you've done them wrong, chances are, I mean, it may take a long time for them to forgive you, but they may not give you another chance to date them again. Because their motto is like, you know, hurt me once, shame on you, hurt me twice, shame on me, and they may not give you another chance, you know? So, those of you who have, especially Sun in the 8th house, may feel this as well, this intensity and this passionate nature and all of that, whether you're a Scorpio or not. Just the 8th house itself has Scorpio energy, okay? So I hope that gives you some information on the Scorpio. Now we're going to go and talk a little bit about the moon. Now, if you have your moon in Scorpio, these are people whose feelings run very deep. Like I said, they may forgive, and it may take a long time, but they will not forget. They're the type of people to bring stuff up. You remember when you did this in 1972, and then in 1987 you did this? I mean, they could bring up a whole laundry list of things that you've done and present it to you, because to them it's fresh in their head, you know, because they don't that's how wounded they are. They don't forget, you know. But for the most part, people with this moon, the way you could respond when you're hurt is either one of two ways. Excuse me, one of two ways. Either you kind of retreat, go away from that person, maybe don't want to speak to them again, or and you're very private. You could be very private with your feelings, big time. Or you could be like, don't get mad, get even type, you know. So that's kind of operating on the negative side of this sign. You could be manipulative when you're upset. So you really want to operate on the positive side of Scorpio. You know, they say there's the Phoenix and there's the Scorpion. You want to operate on the Phoenix side. So those of you also, I want to say, may feel like you don't divulge information to people readily. You almost feel like trust is earned and not given. So you kind of like to hear information from other people. You guys will ask a million questions about somebody, but when they ask you the same question, you may be like, why are you asking? Oh, like you all of a sudden clam up and you're real you're real private, you know. So these people could be very private with their emotions. They're really good at keeping secrets. And for the most part, they're very, very deep and intense. This is one of the second hardest moons to have. The first hardest is Capricorn. And this moon is very hard too, because it's almost like wounded at times, where you're so, you know, afraid to get wounded again, or you really are so private. It's just so private, I want to say. So you're really not really expressing your emotion all the time, unless you really, really trust that person. Trust is huge with Moon in Scorpio. If they don't trust you, it's not going to work. Now, if you're a man, the moon in a man's chart represents his mother, and in a woman's chart too, both men and women. So if you have a Scorpio moon, your mother could be very passionate, intense. There could have been an intensity with your relationship with her. It could have been great, and then it could have been sucky. It could have highs and lows. It could be very super intense. There could be manipulation. There could be secrets. This also applies if your moon is conjunct Pluto. okay? If it's in a different sign but conjunct Pluto, you can have this as well. Now, if you're a man, this was what I was getting at before, the moon also denotes what kind of woman that you will marry. So you could be with a woman who's very passionate, who's very sexual, who's very intense, who's very secretive, who's very private, who wants that me and you against the world kind of mentality in the relationship, okay? This woman could also be, on the shadow side, manipulative, secretive. She could be jealous, possessive, you know. You have to watch out for that, the shadow side with this moon. Now, you want to make sure that you're not also displaying this yourself with your emotions, because as you know, what we attract to us is often like a mirror, okay, of what we're putting out. Okay? So I think, and one thing I will say, Alanis Morissette, who's a singer, has a Scorpio moon as well. And she sang this song called You Oughta Know. And this song really, she sings, it's about an actor that she was dating that really kind of messed her over and how she was upset about it. And this is totally Scorpio moon kind of like, you know. So you may want to listen to that song. Now let's go to if you have your Mercury in Scorpio. Now these people definitely make great psychologists, you know. These people really don't mind talking about taboo subjects such as astrology, death, psychic realm, you know, and part of this too, and this is for Sun and all this stuff, you know, Pluto is ruled, you know, the sign of Scorpio itself is very psychic, and the reason is it's ruled by Pluto, which rules death and transformation, but a lot of times some of these people have psychic gifts of being able to communicate with those who have crossed over, okay? Depending on the house that Mercury is in as well. So let's say Mercury is in the 8th house. Definitely you could, you know, be able to communicate with those who have crossed over. Or Mercury is in the 12th house. This could be through sleep, through the subconscious mind, that you could connect with people who have crossed over and you could be given messages, you know. So this is a very psychic sign, especially when it comes to mediumship ability, and that's what I'm talking about. So these people don't mind talking about that kind of stuff, and they're great at figuring things out, and they're great at investigative work and research, and these people love talking about taboo things like death or people who crossed over or people or psychic realm or tarot or astrology. You know, they're into that. They're not afraid to bring that kind of stuff up. These people could be very secretive too, and private in their communication, or like they're good at keeping secrets too. You know, these people can be great at, if you say don't say nothing, they can be like a vault. They're not going to say anything. I want to say as well, they have a very investigative mind, these people, you know, great at research, you know, investigative things, can really intrigue them. Maybe those investigative shows on TV. But I would say just communicating with somebody with their Mercury in Scorpio can be very interesting to talk to, because they wouldn't be very superficial or shallow in their communication. They would be very deep and intense. And a lot of times there's a lot of depth to what they say, you know. So they could be, I would think, very cool to talk to. I think this would be an interesting person to speak with personally. And that is if you're a man or woman with Mercury. Now, if you have your Mars in Scorpio. Now, Mars is the energy of a person. And Mars shows you whether you're male or female, the type of energy you have. Now, those of you who have, this is a very sexual sign, okay? The first sexual sign of the zodiac would be Gemini. The second would be Scorpio. The only difference between Gemini and Scorpio is Gemini wants to date many people. Scorpio just wants that one and only person. They really want to settle down, Scorpio. They're not looking to date the planet. They just want that one person, like you and me against the world kind of a thing. When they're interested in someone and they're very much really wanting that person, they want to be monogamous, okay? So these people can ooze sexuality, you know. The men especially can have a very high libido, you know. But like I said, they're looking to be sexual with that one person, okay? Now, these people may want to be, especially the guys, because this is how Mars is in a man's chart, shows how you flirt. So you may want to be sexual right away with the person, and intimate right away. And this is because all the secrets come out once you're intimate, you know, and that's true. And you're like, well, they must be intimate with a lot of people if this is how they get to know somebody. That I don't know, but I know that they're not looking to be with everybody. They really want to settle down. And I will say to you, there's a song by Bryan Adams. It's called I Want to Know You from the Inside Out. I think it's just called Inside Out, but it's a very good song, and it really makes me think of Scorpio and their sexual energy, because that's exactly how a Scorpio person, whether if you're a man and your Mars is in Scorpio, and if you're a woman and your Venus in Scorpio, this is how they use that Scorpio energy to flirt, to get to know somebody, and they want to know that person from the inside out, you know, because they know that once I sleep with this person, all the secrets will be revealed, you know. And sometimes people with Mars and Scorpio type of energy, they're so intense that sometimes other people who want to date them can get freaked out a little bit because they're so intense right away. And some people are like, oh my God, I don't know if I can handle this, you know, and they may take off. But it's okay, because you don't need that type of person anyway. You need somebody who matches you energetically. And you know how you say that relationships are a mirror. You know, we attract what we put out, okay? So, you know, for women, and this is exactly, Mars is what you're drawn to. So your chart is showing that if you have Mars in Scorpio, that you're attracted to the mysterious type. You're attracted to the deep, intense, very passionate, very sexual type. But you have to be careful that that person's not operating from the jealous, controlling, possessive, manipulative side, the negative side. So therefore, you need to make sure your energy is above board too, that you're operating from the positive side of Scorpio so you can attract a more positive partner, okay? So that's important to know. Now, so I want to say women especially could be like, they like that dark, mysterious type of person who's kind of edgy maybe, very sexual. The person doesn't say much, you know. The guy may be like, you know, like you're always wondering about this person because they don't say much, you know. They're very kind of private. And I don't know why. I have to look up Keanu Reeves' chart on the internet because I think that, you know, he doesn't do a lot of interviews. And he's very private and very secretive about his life. And he kind of reminds me of that Scorpio energy type of person. You know, kind of edgy, kind of good looking. You kind of want to get to know him. And you're like, But, you know, it's just kind of, it makes you interested, you know. I know because I have my Venus in the 8th house. So, and those of you too, Venus or Mars in the 8th house, this would apply to you, okay? So, okay. So those of you also who have Venus, so let's talk about Venus. So men, you have your Venus in a man's chart shows you the type of woman you're attracted to. And Scorpio is the type of woman who's very sexual. This woman oozes sexuality, you know. This woman is like the Sophia Loren, you know. This is like, what is that? What is her name? I don't know if is it Eva Longoria? It's that lady on Modern Family. She's just very voluptuous and she oozes sexuality. She's the Latin woman on that show. Tell me her name. I don't know her name, but you know what I'm talking about. She's very, like, she has this sexual side of her. So these people kind of have this, they ooze the sexual side of themselves. And this is what you're attracted to. You're attracted to this very intense, very passionate, very sexual type of person. Very, you know, this, you know, and I will say whether you're male or female, if your Venus is in Scorpio, your love life could be very up and down. It's either good when it's good, like great, awesome, and when it's bad, it's really bad, like totally sucks. Trust me, I know. And this is also if you have your Venus in the 8th house, okay? So, and that's because you attract very passionate type of people like yourself. So you could be, you know, you're working off that intensity, you know, and whether it's good or bad, that intensity is still going to exist. So for you guys, this woman, you need to make sure that she's not jealous, possessive, manipulative, or controlling. A lot of people who have Venus in Scorpio or in the 8th house can be jealous, possessive, controlling, and manipulative. And it's not like they mean to be, but it's like in their nature. Like, why are they doing that? I don't understand. You know, why is this happening? And, you know, become very upset, you know. So this could be why the love life could be very up and down. So the more you stay away from that shadow side, perhaps the more your love life could be more highs than lows. That's just a tip. Just saying. Okay. Women with Venus and Scorpio, you're, like I was saying, you ooze sexuality, you're sensual, you're very sexual. Now this is like, you are the type of woman where you get intimate right away. These are women who do get intimate right away, because not because they're easy, but because they know the secrets come out once they're intimate, and they know how to get the secrets. Trust me, if your Venus in Scorpio or your Venus is in the 8th house, you will know exactly how to uncover the mysteries of your man. Okay? All right. So you're using the sexual nature of yours to attract a partner, basically. And you have to be careful. You don't want to be manipulative either, because it could border on manipulation sometimes. But you would use your, you know, the way you dress, you know, and sometimes some of these people, it's not even that they dress provocative. Some may dress provocative, but some of them, it's not even that they're dressing provocative. It's just the way they're built. Maybe they're voluptuous, or they just come off very sexual, you know. That could be very Venus in Scorpio, or Venus in the 8th house, you know. Now, also with Venus also rules money. It can show you ways in which you may bring money into your life. And this could be through chemicals, drugs, liquids, insurance, doctors, nurses, police, the occult, research, surgeon, psychologist, or forensics. Now, when I mention police, this would be a very good investigator, or investigative reporting, somebody who does research, you know, solving a crime. When I mention chemicals and drugs, this reminds me of like a psychiatrist who can prescribe medication, okay? You know, somebody who maybe they're doing research on liquids, or, you know, a forensics too. The forensics will have to look at chemicals in the body and see what's going on. Definitely. Any person like a surgeon, because surgeon would be cutting deep, looking deep within to find the answer, to find the problem, okay? So you kind of understand where I'm going here. And anything with the occult, like psychic, astrology, tarot, you know, any of that kind of stuff, you know, could bring you money. And this also applies if your Venus is in the 8th house, okay? So, but just look at the sign that it's in to get more information, okay? So I hope this gives you some information on Scorpio and what Scorpio is like. I personally, my son is in the 8th house, so I like Scorpios. I get along with Scorpios, and people really either love me or hate me as well, but that's, hey, it is what it is. It's okay, you know. You know, I will say, you know, I like, one thing about Scorpio energy is they will look at you when they talk to you right in your eyes, you know. And I was always taught that this is a respectful thing to do. Like when you talk to someone, you're giving them your full attention, you look at them right in the eye. And somebody said it like freaked them out, like, why are you looking at me? Like, and I'm like, well, I'm listening and I'm trying to be respectful. And I guess a lot of people find this weird and intimidating, but I did find, you know, my ex-husband was a Scorpio, but I find with a lot of other Scorpio people that I know, they're the same way. Like they will look at you directly in your eyes, and, you know, there's an intensity about, I guess, Scorpio energy, and some people are freaked out by it, some people like it, you know, but I say to each their own, you know. So anyway, and it's funny because a lot of Scorpios do date each other, you know, and Taurus is, you know, a lot of Scorpios attracted to Taurus. I've seen that too. And I will say, of all the water signs, Scorpio is one sign that is very, like, can be a little bit more like rar. And it could be because the co-ruling planet for Scorpio is also Mars. Pluto is their ruler, but it's co-ruled by Mars. So Mars is a very aggressive planet, you know, assertive, aggressive. So this could be why some of them are like, don't get mad, get even types, you know. But not everybody's going to be that way, you know. Some people work from the more shadow side, and some people are more like the phoenix, you know, rising from the ashes to do better, you know. So I will say a lot of them experience a lot of transformation in their lives, even those of you who have planets in the 8th house. You know, like my Sun and my Venus are both in the 8th. So I hope this video gives you some information and helps you out. And if you know somebody who's a Scorpio and kind of describes them and maybe you think can help them a little, please share the video. If you'd like a reading from me, I will put a link in the video for you to order one. No problem. And I'm so sorry it's taking so long for me to get Scorpio up in a few of the other videos, but I've had such technical difficulties. I've done this video, I'm not kidding, 5 times because I kept having issues, and I don't know, I think there was a short in my headset, but we'll see. Hopefully I'm going to play this back, and I hope all is good. Fingers crossed. All right, Scorpio, I will talk to you soon, and please like, share, and subscribe. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.